Just one season ago, the Cleveland Browns spent a valuable top 100 pick on Dylan Gabriel, a third-round selection, a quarterback they believed had real developmental upside. The idea was simple: bring in a talented young passer, give him time behind veterans, and slowly mold him into a possible future option under center. But now, only 1 year later, the entire conversation around Gabriel has flipped upside down. The hype is gone. The patience is fading. And reports around the Browns suggest something almost nobody expected this quickly. Cleveland may already be considering moving on. That means a quarterback they spent real draft capital on, a player the organization once believed in, could suddenly be worth nothing more than a late-round pick if the Browns decide to trade him. And when you look at how fast this situation unraveled, it feels less like normal roster development and more like a storyline that spiraled out of control before anyone inside the building could slow it down. Because the truth is, the doubts around Dylan Gabriel didn't just appear overnight. They were there from the very beginning. When Cleveland used that third-round pick on Gabriel, the reaction across the fan base was mixed, and in some corners, outright confusion. Some analysts believed the Browns had reached. Others questioned whether there were better quarterback prospects still on the board. And a number of fans openly wondered why the front office chose Gabriel, when several other players had produced stronger college seasons and seemed like safer developmental bets. That criticism didn't disappear after draft night either. For some fans, the pick never fully made sense. And while the organization publicly backed the decision, the pressure was already quietly building for Gabriel to prove the doubters wrong. But here's the thing about the NFL. Draft debates can disappear very quickly if a player starts flashing potential. All a young quarterback needs is a few moments, a clutch throw, a confident drive, a glimpse of something special. And suddenly the narrative changes. The problem for Gabriel is that those defining moments never consistently arrived, and that became painfully clear when the Browns actually gave him real opportunities. This wasn't a situation where Gabriel spent the entire year sitting quietly on the bench learning behind veterans. Cleveland didn't completely hide him from the spotlight. In fact, he started 6 games during the season. For a young quarterback, especially one drafted outside the first round, that's a massive opportunity. Those games are essentially live job interviews. Coaches evaluate everything during those starts: how quickly the quarterback reads defenses, how he handles pressure inside the pocket, whether teammates respond to his leadership in the huddle, whether the offense actually looks comfortable when he's running it. But most importantly, teams look for flashes, moments that make the entire coaching staff sit back and think, okay, this guy might be something. Unfortunately for Gabriel, the results left the Browns with more questions than answers. Instead of building momentum with each appearance, the performances created uncertainty. And uncertainty is the most dangerous thing a young quarterback can create in the NFL. Because once a team starts doubting whether you can truly lead the offense long-term, they don't wait around forever hoping things suddenly improve. This league moves too fast. Front offices are constantly searching for the next solution at quarterback, and patience disappears quickly when another option begins looking more promising. And that's exactly where the situation in Cleveland started to shift. Inside the organization, the perception of Gabriel quietly began changing. Instead of viewing him as a potential future starter, the conversation started leaning towards something different, a developmental backup. Now that role still holds value in the NFL. Teams need reliable quarterbacks who can step in during injuries or hold the offense together when chaos hits the depth chart. But that's not the role Cleveland envisioned when they spent a third-round pick. Third-round quarterbacks aren't expected to carry franchises immediately, but teams still hope to see growth, flashes of leadership, and signs that the player could eventually challenge for something bigger. When those signs don't clearly appear, the timeline for proving yourself suddenly becomes much shorter. And for Dylan Gabriel, the timing couldn't have been worse. Because while he was trying to establish himself inside the Browns' offense, the quarterback room around him was starting to change. Every offseason, teams aggressively evaluate the most important position in football. Free agency creates new possibilities, trades become rumors, draft prospects start generating buzz, and Cleveland has already made it clear they're actively exploring ways to impro.